Shalom. I want to give all praises, honors, and glories to Yahweh Hashem, Yahushua Hashem Rakakudash, and the march to the apostles and others, great millstone, and salutations to the hopeful elect. There's your brother, I'm Noah Allah from GMS Chicago, and this is going into a quick lesson, right, about the importance of going out there on the highways and byways and being locked in, right, and what I'm first gonna start with is that when you come into this truth, all right, you're gonna go through a lot of trials and tribulation, all right, and that's only, really at the end of the day, the Lord is only doing that, to test you, all right, to try you, as gold is being tried in the fire to be made pure, and what the Lord is doing is that He's trying to get the impurities out of you, all right. But it says, for which of you, Luke 14 and 28, for which of you intending to build a tower and sitteth not down first and count the cost, whether ye have sufficient to finish it? And when you come into this truth, already, you gotta count the cost. Meaning that, hey, when you come to this truth, you gotta understand that you're gonna go through trials and tribulation, right? You're gonna be tested. You're gonna go through shit that you never would think that you would go through, right? Rather, your household starts to depart from you. Your girl might leave you. You might have car problems. You're gonna be broke, definitely. Coming to this truth, you're gonna be broke for sure. All right. Well, that's the condition of the battle, and that's what's, part of being in this truth. All right. You're gonna go through shit. All right. Your house shy. Went through trials and tribulation, and the scriptures tell you that a servant is not greater than his master, meaning that if Yahushua went through it, all right, those of us that are in the know, those of us who are in the truth, all right, we're gonna go through, also, we're gonna go through trials and tribulation likewise. All right, but hey, that's part of counting the cost. Verse 29, lest happily after he hath laid the foundation and is not able to finish it all that, behold, it began to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. And then, hey, you don't want to be that kind of hypocrite. You don't want to be the one, who lays out the foundation, all right, but then is not able to finish it, right? Like starting a race, you're running, but then all of a sudden you want to take a break and not cross the finish line. It's the same thing with truth, all right? You can't drop the plow and go back into the world, because if you do that, you're gonna be beaten with many stripes, because the will of the Lord, or you know that you know about the will of the Lord, but you chose to do it not, so the Lord has to destroy you. Verse 30, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going to make war against another sitteth not down first and consulted whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is yet great way off, he sendeth an embassage and desireth conditions of peace. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaken not all that he hath cannot be my disciple. And you can't be attached to this world, right? If you don't forsaken this world, alright, you can't be the Lord's disciple, right? We're gonna lose shit on this side. Alright, we're gonna be persecuted. We're going to be demonized. We're about to be demonized for the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Ezekiel 3:17, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel, therefore hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning from me. And then, being this truth, alright, we gotta go out there in the highways and byways. Of course, we're gonna catch hell. We're gonna go through a lot of problems in our lives. We're gonna be broke. We're gonna go through car problems, right? Your household is gonna depart from you. Your family members may turn against you. They might turn you in too. But that's also part of, counting the cost. You gotta count the cost. Demons might start fucking with you. You might lose sleep, right? But you gotta continue, all right, to bear that cross until the returning of Yahushua. Well, it says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. And that's what the Lord commanded us to do. If you love me, feed my sheep. Right? We're supposed to feed the Lord's sheep. Verse 18, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thy hand. And if we don't give warning unto the house of Israel, right, the blood will be on our hand. All right, we fear Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. This is why we go out in the highways and byways, all right, to give warning unto the house of Israel. Because really, we're trying to get the blood off our hands so that we don't have to face a heavier judgment than these two-thirds. All right, because those who knew the Lord's will but did it not, all right, they're going to be beaten with many stripes. Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Pretty straightforward, plain. Alright, we give warning unto the house of Israel, alright, rather if they will hear or forbear. And if they forbear, or at least, you went out there and you gave warning, and now, they have no cloak for their sins. Right, because they rather choose to despise His word. Luke 9:62. It says, and Yahushua said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And there, when you come into this truth, you can't look back. You can't turn back because, like again, right, if you drop the plow, right, especially you, if you drop the plow, you're going to be beaten with many stripes because you knew the will of the Lord. You knew what to do. Luke 12:43. It says, blessed is that servant whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him a ruler over all that he hath. But if that servant say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, he shall begin to beat them men servant and maid servants, and to eat and drink and to be drunken. And the Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him. And that's important of being locked in, right? Because the day of the Lord is going to come where you are not aware, and you don't want to be, and you want to be a faithful servant. You want Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to find you so doing. And and at an hour when he is not aware, I will cut him asunder and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. And that's right. You know, when you drop this plow and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, or the Lord is going to appoint you your portion with the unbelievers. All right. And then what the scripture says about unbelievers, all right, the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. All right, but you, especially you that knew the will of the Lord and did it not, all right, you're gonna be being with many stripes, worse than a nigga in the world that doesn't know anything about the truth. And it says it right here. And that servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. You see? Verse 8, verse 48. But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes, but he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes, shall be with a few stripes, for unto whomsoever much is given of him shall be much required, and to whom men have committed much of him, they will ask the more. And hey, when the Lord gives you your increase, right? Much is given. Is basically much is required, right? Because you got to really handle your business seriously, or your business with Yahweh Hashem, Yahushua should be handled seriously. Speaking to myself first and foremost. Matthew 24, 28. It's like Matthew 24 and 42. Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known and what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would have not suffered this house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. And then, we gotta be watching, right? We gotta be watching and looking out for these prophecies and stay ready so that we don't have to get ready. Right? Preparing our minds of the things to come and understanding that we're also gonna go through trials and tribulation too. Right? That's what's part of being in this truth. And we don't know, all right, when the time of Jacob's trouble, well, we're in the midst of, well, not in the midst, but we don't know when all hell's about to break loose, and we don't know when Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai will return. But hey, we gotta continue doing the Lord's will, because in the scriptures, again, it says, if you love me, feed my sheep. That's what the Lord wants us to do. All right, give warning unto the house of Israel. Feed his sheep. Says, who then is a faithful servant a wise servant whom the Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season. Blessed is that servant in whom the Lord servant whom his Lord when he cometh shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, he shall make him ruler over all his goods. And if the evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And you see, those who knew the Lord's will but did it not are about to receive many stripes, worse than a nigger in the world that does not know. And it's a real fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power, right? Well, none of us, that was it to our lesson. Like again, just going to, the importance. Alright, they're going out there in the highways and byways to get the blood of our hands, right? And the importance of being locked in too, right? Because we don't know when all hell can break loose. We don't know when Yahushua can return, alright? Because everything is going to happen. These events are going to happen when people least expect it, right? But yeah, shalom until next time. Shalom.